Hi, I'm Frederick, founding engineer at Donobu, and I'm here to tell you why you should be using Donobu as your AI-powered sidekick. Let's dive right in, shall we? Donobu is your essential QA sidekick. Why? Well, several reasons. Seamless integration. Donobu fits right into your QA environment. At its core, we extend Playwright with some powerful AI-driven features, and the power of Donobu can also seamlessly integrate with your favorite LLM-powered IDE via our MCP server. Intuitive and powerful. Stop writing tedious tests by hand. Simply tell Donobu what to test, and our intelligent AI handles the complexity for you. Retain control. All tests run locally or in your existing CI/CD pipeline, avoiding reliance on external cloud providers. One-click regression testing. Instantly generate robust regression tests to protect your codebase with zero hassle. The tests you create with Donobu are repeatable, performant thanks to our caching technology, and most importantly, self-healing. Accelerate failure triage. Leverage advanced AI for rapid failure analysis and troubleshooting, enabling you to easily determine if the failure is a legitimate one or a flaky test. You are in control. Retain complete power to write, tweak, or fully customize every Playwright test script generated by Donobu. Remember, you're the superhero. Donobu is just your sidekick. So at its core, Donobu extends Playwright's page object. We're all familiar with Playwright and the page object. Page.goto to go to a URL, page get by role, get by label, that sort of thing to select elements of the page. Donobu just adds more capabilities to the page object, including page.ai, which lets you describe in plain English what you want the automated test to do. It can be as simple as entering some text into a certain form field or as complex as describing an entire end-to-end flow. Page.ai.assert, which lets you do complex assertions that a simple Playwright test might be hard-pressed to do, like examining the colors or content of images on the page, or even determining a general theme or vibe of the page. And finally, page.find, which lets you define a list of alternative selectors for finding an element on the page just in case the underlying implementation changes. But most of the time that won't matter because of the power of page.ai. Donobu also integrates seamlessly with LLMs via our MCP server. No matter what IDE or LLM combination you use, whether it's Cursor or Claude in WebStorm or Copilot in VS Code, Donobu's got you covered. This translates to zero context switching as you create new regression tests and revise existing ones, all in the same environment. When you're done with a visual test run, you can analyze it using Donobu Studio, where you have access to detailed failure analysis, screenshots, and even video recordings of the entire session. Which brings us to our next topic, Donobu Studio, our desktop app for Mac or Windows. Donobu Studio lets you easily start creating your suite of regression tests. Simply enter a website address, add a description of what to test, and Donobu will, I'm sorry. The slides are great and all, but I feel like we just have to demo this. Let's just do a demo. Start by going to donobu.com. After registering, the first thing you'll see is our download page. Download the version that's appropriate to your platform and launch the app. You'll be asked to enter an API key for your LLM of choice or a Donobu key. You can find your Donobu key in the Keys tab on our website. So I'm just going to copy this one here, go back here and paste it in, and we're all set. All right, the first screen you'll be presented with is this one. Simply enter a URL. I'm going to use this site right here, and then tell Donobu what it is you want to test. So I'm going to say from the home page, search for sheets, assert that all results are sheets, not pillows. This is a pillow website. Click start, and off it goes. You can see Donobu has launched a browser and is examining the page. Oh, look, an interstitial has popped up. No problem. It's going to figure out that it needs to dismiss that, and it's going to go ahead and do so. If we switch back to Studio while it's running, you can see what's going on step by step. Initialize the navigation, clicked on search icon, oops, but then it had to click to dismiss the promotional pop-up to continue with the objective. Go back here and see what it's doing. It's found the search box. It's going to type the search and then execute it. And now it's basically examining the page. You can see back here that it input the text. And the next thing it does, scrolls the page to check if there's any more search results to ensure that none of them are pillows. Finally, it's going to assert that all the results are sheets, and it succeeded. So we have this list view that shows us everything that it did. We also have this sort of tiled view where you can see the steps and how they lead to each other. You can, of course, zoom in, get some details on any of the steps if you want, get a closer version of the image. But what we're interested in primarily is the code that Donobu can generate for you. This is basically an entire project that's based on the thing you just tested. The easiest thing to do is just download them. But first, what I'm going to do is change an option to run the tests in headed mode, just because it makes for a better demo. So I'll go ahead and download all these files. It just downloads as a single zip file, the contents of which I will just open in Cursor. So here's our project. We have the test that it created, which is just page.goto, and then page.ai, passing it exactly the prompt that we gave it. There's also a README with instructions on how to run this, but it's actually pretty easy, as you would expect. It's a Node project, so first we need to install our dependencies, which includes Playwright and Donobu. And then we need to just run npm test. So what's that going to do? It's going to do the exact same thing that happened from Donobu Studio. It launches a browser, examines the page, starts clicking around, types in the search string, does the search, and then examines the page to make sure that there are no pillows in the search results. And you can see the log from Donobu here in our console as well. All right, it passed. And it took 45 seconds to run that test. Let's try running it again. Now, what we'll notice is that the second time through, it runs a lot faster. Why is that? Because it's actually running in a more deterministic way now. It still has the initial prompt that it can use to recover if some interstitial pops up this time, but it's actually following the steps outlined in this cache file. So in a much more deterministic way. We find an element, click it, we find an element, click it, find an element, fill in sheets. And then there's still the page.ai.assert, which will make a call to an LLM. But the whole execution time is now only 11 seconds. All right, let's make some additional changes to the config real quick to make sure that if we add some additional tests, they will all execute. I'll just rename this to Donobu tests. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and ask Claude Code, just for this demo, to basically write another test. So we're going to tell it to test this site, add something to the shopping cart, and we're going to tell it that when it's done, it should add the test to our slowly growing regression suite. Okay, we're going to fast forward through this part, but basically Donobu is doing its thing and Claude Code is getting constant updates. Okay, it's going to do one last check to see what the status of this flow is, and hey, it succeeded. And now it's going to query Donobu again to get that test file, the same sort of file that we created initially. And we're going to allow it to go ahead and create that file. So there it is. So now if we were to run npm test, it'll actually run both tests. So you can see it'll be opening two different browser windows. They'll be running in parallel. This one's the faster one because it already has a cache file. This is the new test. It might be a little bit slower. But the next time we run it, it's actually going to be faster. So that's it. We hope you'll choose Donobu as your AI test tool of choice. But either way, we'll see you at the competition. Bye now.